Hey y'all, how you doing today? While I'm talking to you today, I'm just going to go ahead and try and make some macros for Awaken Chaos Era because I've been a little bit bored, but at the same time I want to talk to you, the audience, as well as developers about 5 reasons I believe it's a really bad idea to do soft launches for video games. So basically, for anybody that doesn't know, a soft launch is essentially just presenting the game to a smaller market in a target country, like a few specific countries that developers choose, and then they get the game before other people. But their progress is not wiped. They're essentially just like testing the waters for everyone else to make sure that the game is okay. I have a lot of reasons about why I don't like these, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to try and make this video a little bit concise and hit on some of the key points. Reason number 1 is going to be receptiveness. Each country should be considered a separate demographic for different parts of the game. If Korean players are prone to having a knack for farming and their main focus is like PvE efficiency, that's essentially just going to make the entire game about PvE, because since the majority of players are focused on improving PvE functionality, that's what the developers are going to end up hearing, and that's what their sole purpose is going to be focused on. Is this literally going to be as easy as just one image detection of play again? But the same goes for both sides. Like if the United States is more prone to PvP and we want to focus on progressing guild content and PvP content, not saying that everyone from these countries are the same, but the beginning of the game is such an integral part of the game's life cycle that it's a shame to limit the amount of people that are actually focused on improving certain aspects of the game. Number 2 is going to be losing the vision of the game. A lot of the key players in gaming today are companies that failed spectacularly all the way to the top. Blizzard is the easiest prime example of just a company doing the wrong thing consistently with no respect towards players' wishes, and they just thrive because they have their minds made up from the start. This is how their game is going to succeed, and based on their vision of its success, that's how they design the game. So stopping other people from playing isn't going to prevent them from making those failures. If anything, we should all have to endeavor the failures together so that we could get separate eyes on the situation and maybe a couple different perspectives. Which leads me on to number 3, limiting your feedback. Of course, scientists know that in an experiment you have a control and variables, but the more variables you have, the more accurate your experiment is. If all of the data is coming from a few limited countries, then you're limiting your own data and progression as a company. Like a soft launch is one of the most limiting walls you can put in front of a player. And of course, there's a way to bypass those obstacles. Like you could use a VPN or you could download an APK, but if you're honest with yourself, realistically, you know not everyone's going to do that. There's going to be eyes or people that are just too lazy to go through that process that they could have actually brought us in some valuable information. We're going to be missing out on that as well. Number 4 is essentially just people are impossible to please either way. Whether or not the game has a perfect launch or it's an absolute horror story is going to be moot at some point. There's always that handful of people that just refuse to accept anything as good. And like every single change in the game, they're going to try and present it in a bad light. Every single thing is just going to be on the developer's shoulders. There's not going to be anybody trying to lift the burdens. There's just going to be more people stacking onto the burden. Some people live in a selfish bubble where pretty much everything that they need and want is going to take priority over everybody else. Doing anything is going to present with these people a problem. Like if you change a text in a tooltip, people are going to get upset. People get upset over literally like everything. But maturity is understanding that complicated situations like this can happen, and resilience is being able to bounce back from them and learn. Like if we really care about the game and we want to see it grow, then we're going to be with it through the good and bad times, knowing that there's going to be bad times, but we still have to stick through it so that we can see the good times again. And number 5 is competitive features. This is a little bit more of a technicality, but if you're being honest, being able to give players multiple months of progression ahead of everybody else is completely not fair. There's a lot of players like whales and dolphins that like to pump a lot of money into the game, and the first few days of release are critical for that, just building momentum so that your account can get on a roll, and it's harder for other people to catch up for you, like free-to-play players. World PvP is already one of the most requested features in the game, and of course World PvP takes data from all sorts of different parts of the world, so it's not fair for someone in another country to just have 4 months of progression on everybody else in competitive features that usually come with rewards in like gems or skins or some sort of monetary value item. That being said, if there are actual monetary value rewards, then there's going to be a bot influx. It happens on every single game. It's so easy to bot. I'm literally doing it right now. I'm sure you've seen it evolve a little bit over time, but 6 small inputs in less than 20 seconds of work is essentially cut out years of farming for me right now. And of course, like I always say, I'm not holding a weapon to your head saying, yo, my ideals are the best and you have to listen to me, but I've seen a lot of games rise and fall. Heroes War Counterattack is the one game that I put over 100 videos into in a lot of dedication with no return. The soft launch is what did the game in, I'm going to be honest. The community is already divided from the point that the game is released. Nobody wants to help each other. It's all about competition whenever the game comes out. So giving people an unfair advantage isn't going to be fair for the people that actually have that competitive spirit, and it's going to drive away big spenders because those are usually the big spenders. But if you have any questions, feel free to join my Discord. Just don't be sensitive in there because we have a lot of people in there and we like to have fun. But other than that, y'all, that's going to do it for me today, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.